Hi friends, this is Mrs. Miller, and we're going to go over some vocabulary words that have to do with our ecosystem unit. First of all, what is an ecosystem? When I break the word down into two parts, eco means habitat, which means that is where an animal or a plant lives. It's their home. And a system means a set of things working together. An ecosystem is made of living things, things are alive, and non-living things, that are not alive. And these living and non-living things work together to keep an environment in a stable and unchanged state. Here are some pictures of some living things and some non-living things. Living things eat, breathe, grow, and reproduce. Some pictures are plants, animals, bacteria, and fungus. On the other hand, non-living things do not eat, breathe, grow, and reproduce. Some pictures of those are water, soil, air, minerals, and sunlight. Look at this picture of an ecosystem. This is a pond, and there are living things and non-living things that live in this environment. So some of the living things, as you can see, are the ducks, the frogs, the little grasshopper, the lily pads, the trees, and the plants. And non-living things are the sunshine, the air, the rocks in the corner, and even the water in the pond. All of these things are working together to make a balanced and stable place to live. There are different kinds of ecosystems. There are deserts, oceans, forests, and tundra. Another important word that we need to know is homeostasis. What is it? Well, it's when a balance occurs in an ecosystem, and that means the area is very stable. We like things to be in homeostasis, and things stay healthy and stable. And when things are not in homeostasis, it can be very harmful to the environment. Last week, we watched a video about wolves in Yellowstone Park. So that was a great example of when a plant or an animal is removed from an ecosystem, it can cause an environment to become unstable and not in homeostasis. So when they brought the wolves back to Yellowstone, it caused the ecosystem to be put back into a state of balance. So nature and humans can also cause homeostasis to be out of balance. An example would be when nature has a volcano eruption, it can damage and destroy many plants and animals in their habitat. Humans can cause an ecosystem to be out of homeostasis by cutting down too many trees and destroying the habitat of many animals and plants. Within the ecosystem are food chains, and this is an example of a food chain. First, we start with the grass, which is eaten by the grasshopper, which is eaten by the snake, which is eaten by the hawk. The hawk dies and is then eaten by the fungi. There are three levels inside of a food chain: the producers, the consumers, and the decomposers. Let's start with the producers. Producers are plants, and they make their own food and use sunlight. So we have some plants, we have some flowers, and we have some trees. And even algae is also a producer. Consumers, on the other hand, cannot make their own food, and they eat other plants and animals to get their energy. Decomposers are things that we can't really see. They're tiny little bacteria or fungi, and they're organisms that consume dead or decaying organisms and act as cleaners of the environment. So we have a difference between a food chain, which we've just learned about, and now we're going to learn about a food web. A food chain follows just one path, just like the one we saw with the hawk and the snake and the frog and the grasshopper and the grass. A food web, on the other hand, has many food chains, so more than one. Most animals are part of more than one food chain because they eat more than one kind of food. Let's take a look at a picture. In this picture, you see many different arrows going in different ways, and that's because most animals eat more than one kind of plant and one kind of animal. Last but not least, let's ask ourselves, what is an ecologist? An ecologist is a scientist who studies plants and animals and the way that they are all connected and depend on one another to survive. This week, you will be an ecologist.